Hi. I got a question that somebody had sent to me in Second Life about Marvelous Designer and the avatar. And I thought I'd make this video real quick to show you a quick, easy way of bringing avatars into Marvelous Designer. So the easiest way I've found to bring in an avatar into Marvelous Designer to create clothes on is to bring them in as OBJs, not as DAEs where they comes in with all the bones and everything. The reason being is that there's no way to rotate the joints in Marvelous Designer so that they're at a specific degree. Like you can't rotate the arms down to 45 degrees perfectly, or the legs out by 10 degrees or 5 degrees or whatever perfectly. You have to sort of eyeball it, and that's not really ideal for making clothes on. You want to make sure you have the avatar in a very specific pose. So I'm going to let's see. Let me activate. Let's just do a female. Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the bento avatar. But to say you have a dev kit, we're just going to pretend like we have a dev kit in MayaStar already. So you've already brought in a dev kit, say a particular body that you like to make your clothes for, like say it was Slink or Beleza or Maitreya, and you've brought that in, okay? And we're just going to pretend, for demonstration purposes, that that this is the dev kit, right? The dev kit body. And I want to export this out so that I can use it in Marvelous Designer. First, once you get your dev kit imported or whatever in the body that you're going to use, is you want to go into meter scale. Default is centimeter scale, the small one, and then we want to make it meter scale. See how much bigger she gets? Okay. And then what you want to do is say we like this pose. This is just your standard T pose, right? Okay, so what you do is you select the body, and I would duplicate it, Control D on the keyboard, and then I would rotate it 90 degrees in the Z by -90 and -90. So rotate it in X -90 and Y -90. Okay, and now what that's going to do is when we export it, well, it's always good to freeze transformation, although I don't think you need to freeze transformation. It's always good to freeze transformation. So this is the orientation for Marvelous Designer, which is Y up. So you want it to be on her back, with the head pointing towards the Y. See the Y, and her nose pointing towards the Z. And then all you have to do is just go File, Export Selection, and I'm just going to put this on my desktop, and I'm going to export it out as an OBJ. So we'll say T pose avatar. Okay, and I would, in these options over here for OBJ, I would have groups and points on, but I would have everything else off. You don't need the materials. You don't need it to be smooth or the normals. You can leave all that off, or you can leave it on. Smoothing, we can try leaving that on. Okay, and you export. Okay, then what you want to do is, now that we've exported out, we can go ahead and delete that avatar. Now, there's the skeleton, right? Say we want to do an A pose. Well, because we can do it here in Maya, we can rotate these. I'm holding down the J key before I start to rotate it, and I rotated it to -45 degrees. Was that on X? 45 degrees. Okay, so you can type it in. This way we know that our arms are going to be perfectly at 45 degrees. And say we want to rotate this out a little bit, on the x-axis, and say we want to go out 5 degrees there. And of course the opposite side would be -5 degrees. But you can choose any numbers you want. You just kind of make sure you remember them. Okay, and you can see our avatar has that pose now. So now when I duplicate it, Control D on the keyboard, and I put -90 on X and Z, or X and Y, you can see now she's pointing to the right direction. Okay, I'm going to freeze transformation again just to be on the safe side. And then I'm going to export out this one. And instead of T-pose avatar, I'm going to name this A-pose avatar. Okay, so we've exported it out. Then you come over here to Marvelous Designer, and let's remove these avatars. Delete all avatar. Oop. I forgot I had the thing ready. Hold on. There we go. I had my simulator running. Okay, so delete all avatars. Okay, so you want to import an avatar. So you go File, Import. You get to say OBJ. We're going to go to the desktop, and we'll do the T-pose. And we're going to import it, load as avatar. Let's see. Let's reset this. Okay, so that's reset. What I usually do is you can just go auto scale. Import, load as avatar, auto scale. And you go OK. Okay, and she comes in just fine, as you can see there. And I'm not going to bother with rotating these. You can rotate these and get them all into place. So that they all line up the way they're supposed to. Whoops, I kind of messed that up a little bit. See, this is what I mean by rotate. Let's see, if we go to straightforward and go to the top view and try to place these where they're supposed to go. You can do that. You can line these things up. So that you get it all lined up and everything like that. And you can do the same thing with the legs and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm not going to go through all those steps. So I'm just going to close that. Okay, so once you have the avatar in your scene, I'm going to turn that off, turn that off. Okay, so once you have your avatar in your scene, you can go File, Save as Avatar. Okay, and then we're just going to say, I hope this is the right place. Pretty sure this is the right place. We're going to say this is T-pose, T-pose, T-pose SL female. Okay. And I'm going to go save. Okay. And now she should be in the library here. She's not showing up yet because once the library is open, you have to double click on it and it should reload it. And we should see her now. There it is, T-pose avatar. Okay, so now we have our T-pose avatar female. Let's delete all avatars again. We're going to do the same thing with the import OBJ with the A-pose. Load as avatar, auto scale, and just click OK. Okay, and now she comes in, and you can see this. She just happens to line up a little bit more with these things. So, but I'm not going to, like I said, you can move these around and rotate them so they fit better, but I'm not going to do that. This is just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we have our second avatar, and we can say File, Save as Avatar. Okay, there's the T pose female SL avatar, and we'll just change this to A pose female avatar. You can decide whatever naming convention you want for yourself. Okay, so let's delete the avatar again, and I'll show you how it all works. Delete all avatars. Okay, so let's double click on this again to load. Okay. So there's this. Let's load the T-pose avatar. Just dragging it onto here. I'm not going to save it. Okay. And then I'm just going to run the simulator. Okay. So here's the simulation. There's the simulation. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in. So say you said, okay, you designed it on this, and you're like, oh, but I want it to be on the A pose. I want it on the A pose, this clothes to fit an A pose. So what you do is, since this is in alphabetical order, yes. So your name convention, you might want to change your naming convention to the name of the body and then A pose, T pose, so that they'll be closer together. So say this is the T pose, I want to switch it to the A pose. All you have to do is drag this over here like this, right? I'm just going to say, no, I don't want to save it. And this is where you load as morph target. And it's going to do, the default is 30 steps, which is fine. But you might have to add more steps if you want. And now what's going to happen is going to morph between the two. And because we used the same body when we created our OBJs, it should work just fine. So we go, okay. Now watch what happens as it's going to simulate the clothing, but she's going to morph slowly between the two poses so that the clothes will move. So watch. There we go. And now we've had her morph. And so that's how you morph between the two. I don't like the other way of bringing it in with bones and trying to rotate it to the different poses. That's a pain in the butt. It just doesn't, because you never know what angle you're going to make the arms or the legs at. And you really need to know that. So at least I have a slightly older version of Marvelous Designer. I don't know if they fixed that in the newer versions of Marvelous Designer. But yeah, I would definitely do it this way. And see, we can turn off the simulation. Oh, there we go. Turn off the simulation. Okay, so say I want to go back to the T-pose. It's real easy. Now, I can only do it between these bodies themselves. This body here that I exported out as an OBJ. So, morph. Okay, now watch again. See? And it's, oh, I did the male avatar. See, I happened to do this once with the male avatar. That's the male avatar. Oh, that's funny. Because it's the same exact mesh here. Because it's the same exact mesh. That's why it was able to morph between those two different bodies. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so let's stop and the other thing you have to be aware of is, in order for it to slowly morph between the two different bodies, you actually have to have clothes in the scene. Okay, if you don't, it will just flip real quick to the other pose. It won't do the 30 steps. So just be aware of that. So let's go. Let's put her back to the appropriate T pose. For the appropriate body. There you go. And it does it. So you can see it automatically turns on the simulation. And we can do the T pose again, or the A pose. Morph target. Okay. So if she was wearing pants, pants are better to design in the A pose, or you can design them in the T pose, but it's better to rig pants in the A pose with the legs slightly spread apart, because when you have your thighs rubbing and you have your pants on there and the thighs are rubbing and the pant legs are rubbing against each other, it gets really difficult to rig. So it's better to rig pants in the A pose with the legs apart. But you could design the pants in the T-pose if you really wanted to, and then use this to spread them apart, the pant legs apart, before you export out your OBJ clothing. And this is a pretty good size. This is a decent size avatar, and I believe it will import, like say let's export this out. You know, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to export out. Now I could go export selection, or I can go export OBJ. And we'll say simple skirt. Okay. Select all patterns, turn off the avatar. Single object, depends on what you want to do with it. I would probably do single object welded thin. I mean, these are the options that you want to do. Let's see what happens if we just stick to millimeter. Might need to switch that to meter, I'm not sure. But we'll leave it at the default. Might have to switch it to the DAS for Studio. So if we come in here and we go File, Import, go to the desktop, simple skirt, and where is it? I think I needed to have exported out bigger. Let me open up my outliner and find, there's a simple skirt. Oh, yeah, that is huge. Okay, so that's not the right scale, although will it become the right scale if we make it 0.1? Yeah, it was 10 times too big. But you can see it actually fits the avatar perfectly. So if we were to come to here, let's export it out again. Export. We can even do export selected. Simple skirt. We'll go over this one. Yes, we want to replace it. All patterns welded. We'll do DAS. Okay. And now a thing to remember is when you import an object and there's something already in there in the same name, it won't import it. So we'll say first skirt. Okay, now we can import it. Simple skirt. Okay. And you can see there's the one we just imported, and that's the first skirt. So you can see they're identical. So there's the first skirt, and they're identical. So yeah, so when you export out as centimeter DAS, and it will import just fine. Then we can take the simple skirt and we can rotate it up in 90 degrees. So rotating it back is positive 90x and positive 90z. And then you'd want to freeze transformation. Okay. So, but if you're going to rig it to the avatar this big, what I recommend doing is you change this to 0.01. So 0.01. Let's put this back to centimeter scale. Where is it? I think I know my own program. Okay. We can delete that. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so you made it smaller by 0.01, not just 0.1, it's 100 times smaller. The difference between the meter scale and centimeter scale is 100 times difference. So 0.01. instead of just 0.1. And you could either rig it to this size avatar. But what I recommend is, I find it easier to rig on the bigger avatar. So what I often do is, what I would do here is, I would freeze transformation on the skirt. Okay, so let's freeze transformation on the skirt. And because the avatar is 100 times bigger, you make it 100 times bigger. And then you go Maya star meter scale. Okay. And you want this to remain at 100 times bigger. Whoops, rotation. I accidentally must have rotated it slightly. Okay. And now, see, this is where knowing the exact, let's see, what was this? Did we export out? Oops. Yeah, T-pose. So we want to make this the T-pose. So let's, I'm just going to grab that there. And I believe it was what? Whoops. Oh, that's because this is the body. I had to only grab the leg. There we go. I think, what was it, 5 degrees? There. Well, let's hide the avatar body a little easier. And then this was 5 degrees, negative 5 degrees. You know, and if you had the arms, 45? No, negative 45. Now you don't have to, since this is a skirt. Since this is a skirt, you're not really rigging to the arms. I didn't have to do that. Okay, so now you have your avatar to the pose you wanted, and you'd go to Maya star. Okay, we have to create a custom bind pose. So you can come here, custom bind pose, create custom bind pose. Now this is the bind pose. Otherwise you'll get an error. So then you could Maya star. Let me bring this off. Maya star, all bones select. All bones select. Shift select your skirt. Smooth bind skin. Smooth bind skin. Maximum influences is 4. I do make sure you have selected joints on. Closest distance, you can do any bind method you want. Classic linear, you can do any you want because we're going to be copying the weights over. Normalized weights, have it on interactive. Distance, I do not have allow multiple bind poses turned on. That messes up Maya star. Maintain max influences turned on. Colorize skeleton, the rest is fine. Drop off raise 4 is fine. Because that doesn't matter, we're going to be copying the weights anyway. And then you go bind skin. And now you can see it's rigged. And if we go to bind pose, Maya star, go to bind pose. Go to bind pose. She's back at the bind pose. Now, this avatar body here is not actually rigged. There's no weights on it. It's not rigged. This was for auto resizing. I just use it for this example simply because it's a single object. It's a single mesh. And so say we want to do female fitted mesh, right? Let's pretend like this is a slink body or something. So after you do that, you just select the body, shift select the skirt, and then go to skin weight tools, copy skin weights. These are the settings I find to be the best. Closest point on surface, 1:1, normalize, and copy. And now it has the weights. Now this is a skirt. It needs a lot more work than that, but now you've copied the weights over. But anyway, so that's the basic steps for bringing an avatar over into a body over to Marvelous Designer, and so that you can, multiple bodies, so that you can change the poses in there. And you can see why, if you would just eyeball these in Marvelous Designer and moved her legs apart, this might be 6 degrees, this might be 4 degrees on this leg. And then when you go to rig it, you're like, oh, it's the leg part is not right. It's not sticking out, blah, blah. So that's why I do it this way. I don't do it where I bring the bones in. So awesome. So that's basically it. That's the easiest way to bring in an avatar body into Marvelous Designer. You know, I'll show you is to bring them in as separate OBJs. It's just so much easier and so much more accurate. So if we go delete all avatars, let's bring in, like, say do I have a slink body? Let's see. Well, here's a slink body. Okay, there's a slink body. And do I have... That's a T-pose. Hourglass. I don't know if this is... No, I don't. Okay, I'll do it with Maitreya. Okay, so... delete all avatars. Okay, so let's bring in Maitreya. Let's bring in the T-pose. Okay, we'll simulate it. Just hitting the space bar to simulate it. And then say, now I want to do the A pose as morph target. There we go. Oh, need to pull it a little bit here and there. There we go. Okay, so you can see how you can even make clothes for one avatar and then bring them in here and have them fit another avatar if you really wanted to. You could, if you had another body and you wanted to, you could shrink wrap this body to other bodies and then have a morph between different bodies. That's totally possible that you could use Marvelous Designer for that, to morph between the different body shapes themselves. It's a lot of work. I know, I've done it. It's a lot of work. So anyway, I hope that really helps. You know, and yeah, I hope that really helps, so that it's a lot faster bringing it. It's a lot more accurate, and it just seems to work way better than bringing in a DAE that you then have to rotate the bones. So, okay, awesome. So I hope this has helped some of you out there, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.